The man called Eta never finished his TED Talk. Mid-sentence, his heart seized and the stage lights went dark. He opened his eyes to stone walls, the sour smell of old wine, and bells jingling on his head.
This isn't my body. I died. And now I am a fool?
The imperial court roared with laughter as the jester stumbled through a crude skit, bells announcing every misstep.
Is this the best fool we have? He can't even fall with grace.
But beside the throne, young Prince Lucian pressed a hand to his mouth, hiding a smile.
The prince. He almost laughed. That's an opening. If I can make him think, I can climb out of this. Modern persuasion works anywhere.
The jester rose from the floor, bruised and mocked, but with a new fire in his amber eyes. The game had changed. Over the following weeks, Eta learned every whisper and shadow of the court. He knew the jester was invisible, and that invisibility was a weapon.
The prince is curious, but caged. If I give him ideas that feel like his own, he'll run with them.
He arranged a performance in the garden, where only the air would hear.
A king once asked his lion tamer, "How do you control such beasts?" The tamer replied, "I don't. I show them a better path."
But a king must be feared, not loved.
Fear breeds rebellion, my prince. Respect breeds loyalty. Which do you want when you sit on that throne?
The emperor appeared at the garden's edge, his shadow falling cold.
Jester, if I ever hear you filling the boy's head with nonsense again, that cap won't save your neck.
Eta bowed low, but that night he wrote a single word on parchment. Anchoring. The prince, however, found him the next day with a new question, and the rope between them grew tighter. The emperor, sensing a shift in his son's gaze, ordered the jester to perform a new farce before the full assembly.
Dance, fool. Let us see if your legs are as nimble as your tongue.
Eta danced until his feet bled, the court roaring with laughter. He collapsed, bells clattering, to jeers of pathetic.
Father, this is cruelty. He is not a beast.
Silence. Mercy is for kings, not boys who still play with toys.
That night, Eta limped through a dark corridor, but his mind was sharp. He found the prince waiting in the torchlight.
Your Highness, that shame out there, it was a gift. Pain is the best teacher, if you let it speak.
I did not understand. Why must my father be so...
Because he rules by fear. But you, Lucian, can learn a different way. Watch, listen, and remember.
From that night, the prince's words carried a new maturity, mirroring the jester's cadence. The emperor remained blind to the transformation. Emperor Valerius collapsed in his private study, the court physicians powerless. By candlelight, he breathed his last.
Father, no, please, you can't leave me.
Eta watched from the shadows, his face unreadable. The moment he had prepared for had arrived.
The boy is broken. Now I must rebuild him, my way. The Empire will follow, Your Highness. The Empire cries for a leader. I can be your voice, but you must trust only me. Can you do that?
I trust you, Eta. Just tell me what to do. I am so afraid.
The funeral procession was a masterpiece of staged grief. Eta wrote every eulogy, coached every gesture of the mourners. On coronation day, the boy emperor recited the ancient vows with a steady voice, meeting each lord's eye, as Eta had drilled.
Perfect. They see a prodigy. I see my greatest creation. Now the real work begins.
The lords and ladies cheered for the new emperor, blind to the jester whose shadow fell over every policy. A silent reign had begun. In a candle-lit chamber, Eta drafted a tax decree that shifted the burden from peasants to the fattened nobility. He called it progressive restructuring.
Your Majesty, if you present this as a gift to the people, they will love you. The nobles will grumble, but you are the emperor.
But won't they rebel? My father said nobles are the pillars of the realm.
Pillars can be replaced. Frame it as their duty. then watch them compete to appear generous.
The next day, Emperor Lucian stood before the council, reading Ata's words with conviction. Let justice not be a privilege, but a right. The throne room erupted. Nobles clenched fists in silent rage, while commoner witnesses in the gallery exchanged shocked, hopeful glances. A hidden merchant spy slipped Ata a note. The Crimson Roses meet tonight. They speak of thorns for the boy king.
Coup plotters. Predictable. I'll let them gather, then feed them a lie that makes them tear each other apart.
That night, Ita began seeding false rumors among the servant class, a whisper campaign to turn the plotters against each other. The boy emperor remained blissfully unaware, trusting his jester to handle the shadows. The game was no longer survival. It was conquest. With a steady hand, Ada forged a letter from the coup's leader, detailing a plan to betray his allies and claim sole credit. The letter was discovered by a loyal servant and rushed to the Imperial Guard. Before sunrise, the conspirators' hideout was surrounded. The leader, facing torture, begged for mercy. He offered a full confession, naming every noble who'd plotted against the throne.
Emperor Lucian's voice echoed through the hall. Justice demands truth, not terror. Let this man's confession earn him exile, not death.
The assembled lords lowered their eyes, shamed by the boy's mercy. The commoners outside wept with joy at his wisdom.
They cheer the mask I've crafted, but the pieces are aligned for now.
That evening, Ata slipped through a secluded corridor, his senses prickling. The air felt wrong, too still.
There is another player, someone who watches without moving, waits without impatience. A mirror of my own methods.
He turned sharply. A dark figure retreated around the corner, too swift to be a careless spy. Silent, deliberate, the court celebrated its deliverance. But Ata stood frozen, realizing the most dangerous opponent was one he could not see. Ata dipped his quill, drafting a letter to the enemy king. Every line was laced with psychological hooks, flattery, shared ancestry, and the looming cost of prolonged war. The letter found the foreign ambassador, who read it with widening eyes. The boy emperor spoke like a seasoned diplomat. Within a week, envoys gathered under a white canopy. Emperor Lucian, with Ata's voice in his memory, offered terms that felt like victory to both sides. The quill strokes fell, and the peace pact was sealed. Outside, crowds erupted, chanting the child prodigy's name.
Your Majesty, your wisdom is unprecedented for one so young. Perhaps your jester's tales carry more than folly.
A hush fell over the council. Ata, hidden behind a column, felt a chill sharper than any blade.
She dissected my technique. No noblewoman speaks like that. She is not from this world.
Even a fool can speak truth, my lady. But the peace is my own will.
The emperor's response deflected suspicion, but Reyna's smile held no warmth. She had planted her flag. Peace had been won, but in the shadows, a new game began, one where Ata's opponent knew all the rules. Ata intercepted her in a quiet corridor, his bells muffled by a clenching fist. The air crackled with unspoken challenge.
The dowager's handmaid speaks like a senator. One might wonder where you truly learned such rhetorical precision.
From watching the jester, perhaps. Your mirroring technique is blunt, but effective on children.
She named it. No one in this century should know mirroring. She's reincarnated, like me.
Your silence is telling. Don't worry, I am not your enemy, yet. But your sloppy priming threatens our cover.
You are not from here. Not originally. What year did you die?
That's a question for a private dinner, not a hallway. If you are as clever as you think, you'll find me.
She glided away into the shadow, leaving Ata with a racing mind. The game had just doubled in complexity.
A rival reincarnator. Mossad, I bet. This changes everything. We're playing chess while they're playing checkers.
From that moment, the court became a chessboard, and two minds from another world began their silent, deadly dance. By candlelight, Ita rifled through Reyna's hidden chest. Scribbled Hebrew letters and tactical abbreviations stared back. Mossad. No doubt.
She was a psychological warfare operator. Deadly, but also useful.
Across the palace, Reyna thumbed through the Jester's hidden journal. Modern persuasion models, behavioral economics. She inhaled sharply.
He's not just a jester. He's a political consultant, probably Cambridge. We could burn the whole empire down.
Eta opened a dusty volume of old fables. He circled the 19th, 3rd, and 8th letters. Together they spelled meat.
Now, to slip this into her pocket. The date 1938 will test if she knows Bandler and Grinder.
The scrap of parchment appeared in Reyna's sash. She unfolded it, reading the single number, 1938.
1938. Too obvious. He's referring to the founding of NLP. Cute.
She scratched a reply on the same scrap. Number 1984. Meet me in the old library at midnight. Both messages delivered. The meeting would determine whether they would rule together or destroy each other. Midnight chimes echoed through the forgotten library. Eta pushed open the heavy door. Reyna already sat by a single candle, her face unreadable.
1984. Orwell was a pessimist, but he understood how to control the narrative.
You are a political consultant. Cambridge, judging by your notes. I was Mossad. Let's skip the pleasantries.
3 Japanese prime ministers. Then a stroke at a TED Talk. Now, I am a clown. Your turn.
Training accident. Drowned. I woke up as a maid for a paranoid empress. I've run her intelligence network for 3 years.
They studied each other like generals, sizing up a battlefield. Then, slowly, Eta produced a flask from his jester's belt.
A truce. We both want a stable empire. Together, we can be invisible gods. Pitted against each other, we'll both bleed.
One policy first. A test. If it works, we continue. If not, I'll bury your secrets deeper than your emperor's chamber pot.
Agreed. Education reform. Your dowager's network plants the seeds. My emperor takes the credit. The nobles won't know what hit them.
They clinked their glasses in the candlelight, a pact sealed in ambition and mutual threat. The empire's future had just been rewritten. The education reforms swept through the empire, and Emperor Lucian's name was sung in every market square. Empress Dowager Seraphina watched the celebrations from her gilded parlor. Her smile never reached her eyes.
You think me a fool, girl. No child conceives such reforms alone. Who whispers in his ear?
The jester, my lady. He fills the boy's head with tales, but tales can carry poison.
The jester? A merry fool? You expect me to believe he hides a philosopher's mind beneath those bells?
Even a fool can parrot what he's heard. Let me watch him, my lady, and I will bring you his secrets.
Eta learned of Reyna's betrayal within the hour. His jaw tightened, but his mind raced with cold calculation.
She sold me to buy time. Classic tradecraft. I'd have done the same, but understanding doesn't stop the sting.
The alliance held, but now the Empress Dowager's gaze fell upon the jester. The game had grown more dangerous. Their reform continued to reshape the empire, a masterpiece of shadow puppetry. But the question remained, whose strings would snap first? A bloodied courier collapsed at the foot of the throne. The border had fallen. Enemy forces were 3 days from the capital.
General Voss, dead? The pass was impenetrable. What dark sorcery is this?
Eta stepped forward, his bells unnaturally silent. He whispered something into the Emperor's ear, and the boy's trembling stilled.
Your Majesty, your army lost to steel. We will win with lies. Let Reyna and I weaponize the enemy's doubt.
In a candlelit war room, Reyna smoothed a map across the table. Her eyes met Eta's with the cold fire of shared desperation.
Their commander trusts no one. We forge a letter from his king, hinting at his disloyalty. Then we feed it to his own scouts.
I'll draft it with the linguistic fingerprints of their court. Your spy network can deliver it before dawn.
That night, cloaked figures slipped through the enemy camp, leaving behind whispers and planted evidence like poisoned seeds. By first light, the enemy commander dragged his lieutenant into the open, accusing him of treason. Shouts and steel clashed. The army, paralyzed by distrust, halted its advance. Eta and Reyna had bought precious time, but the true battle was just beginning. Reyna outlined her next plan, a staged attempt on the enemy general's life, with evidence pointing to his own lieutenant. That midnight, an arrow thudded into the general's tent, a bloodied cloak found nearby. Panic spread through the camp. The general's roar echoed, "You dare move against me?" His lieutenant was dragged away in chains.
Poisoning their own water supply. Brilliant. You've outdone yourself, Reyna.
We're better together. Admit it. We just crippled an army with a quill and a shadow.
I'll admit nothing, but a drink.
But as they raised their glasses, Eta caught a flicker in the window, a spy's silhouette. The dowager's eyes.
She's watching us celebrate. Seraphina's no fool.
The enemy army was in chaos, but the real siege was tightening inside the palace walls. Victory over the enemy was in sight. But survival against the dowager was still a deadly gamble. Empress Dowager Seraphina cornered Reyna in a candlelit chamber, her voice a blade sheathed in silk.
The Jester's head, Reyna. Bring it to me before the next council, or I will take yours.
She knows. Not everything, but enough. If I refuse, my cover is gone. But Eta is. My only equal, my lady. The Jester is a weed, but a weed with roots. Let me pull him up whole, not just prune.
Alone, Reyna dipped a quill in invisible ink. A message to Eta. She demands your head. Stall. Trust me. The note slipped into Eta's hand via a blind minstrel's tune. His amber eyes scanned the hidden letters.
She chose me, against her own survival instinct. This alliance just became real.
Eta calmly dropped the note into a torch's flame. The dowager had just forged an unbreakable bond by threatening to break one. Reyna vanished from the dowager's direct service that night, becoming a ghost within the walls she once guarded. The clock tower chimed. The next council would be a battlefield, not of swords, but of silence and shuttered eyes. In a dim tavern, cloaked figures Eta and Reyna spread forged ledgers, lecherous across a greasy table. Bells were hidden, daggers were not.
These ledgers frame Seraphina for embezzling war funds. We plant them with a judge who loathes her, and the scandal will right itself.
I've paid a chambermaid to testify she saw the dowager burning account scrolls. Her fear of poverty outweighs her loyalty.
The festival of the founding, when the entire empire watches the throne, she'll be too public to silence it.
They forged until their fingers blacked, replicating the dowager's seal with painstaking care. Each stroke was a lie, each number a nail in her coffin.
She'll never see it coming. This is the beauty of a well-told lie. It wears the face of truth.
Let's hope, because if it fails, we'll both be in unmarked graves by dawn.
The maid was paid a year's wages for a single, damning sentence. A whisper that would echo through the imperial halls.
Everything is in place. Now we wait. The festival will either crown her disgrace or ours.
The tavern door creaked. A bell tolled outside. 3 days until the festival, and the Empress Dowager still smiled in her parlor. The founding festival filled the capital with music. None expected the pageantry to turn judge. A scroll flew from the crowd, unrolling at the Emperor's feet, a forged ledger bleeding ink.
Lies. Who dares defile the festival with these obvious forgeries?
The maid's voice trembled. I saw her grace feed the accounts to the fire.
The evidence is damning. Seraphina, you are stripped of titles and exiled to the Northern Keep.
Guards seized her. The crown that never rested on her head fell to the stones. From a shadowed balcony, a jester and a maid exchanged a silent nod. The crowd roared with confusion and rage. A mob toppling a queen, Seraphina glared a silent vow of revenge before the heavy door sealed her away.
The board is ours, but this vacuum will attract wolves. We must vanish our fingerprints.
Eta fed his psychological profiles to the flames, Reyna's Hebrew files following into ash. Every trace of modern knowledge vanished. In the imperial scriptorium, they planted a revised chronicle that credited every reform to the boy emperor's innate wisdom. By the time the scribes dipped their quills, the official history was a masterpiece of invisible redirection.
I want to rule on my own now, Eta. No more whispers, no more puppetry.
Eta studied the man the boy had become. The crown fit him, and his voice no longer trembled.
Soon, Lucian, soon. But let us craft your legend first, a story that will outshine any shadow.
That night, they gathered in a candlelit study, a blank chronicle between them. The ultimate fiction was about to be written.
We write him as a prodigy, a natural philosopher, king. Our fingerprints disappear.
The first page turned. The Emperor's golden age was being scripted by ghosts who would leave no record.
A jest and a secret. That's all we'll be. Now, let us write ourselves out of history.
In the lamplight, two quills scratched in unison. The chronicle of the boy emperor's wisdom grew thicker each night.
The tax reform. We write it as a boy's dream of fairness, not a jester's scheme.
When the emperor looked upon the granaries, he wept for the hungry. Let that be the line.
They warred over adjectives, debated hidden meanings. Each phrase was a brick in the legend they built.
The peace treaty. Not negotiated, but conceived. It must sound like divine intuition.
And the final line. Thus the boy emperor revealed his genius, a light that guided the empire from within.
The quill went still. The ink dried. The book of the Golden Age was shut, their names nowhere within.
It's done. We're nothing now. Not even a footnote.
We're ghosts with the keys to the kingdom. That's more than we ever had alive.
They clasped hands over the finished chronicle, a pact not of ambition, but of remembered silence. Years slipped by like parchment pages. Emperor Lucian's name became legend, his decrees flowing from his own pen. On the night of the imperial wedding, two shadows watched from the highest balcony.
We did it. He stands without our strings.
Number. He did it. We just helped. That's the point of a good lie. It becomes truth.
Later, in a forgotten wing of the palace, they raised flasks in a room lit only by a single candle.
To the boy emperor, who never knew he was a masterpiece.
To the jester and the spy. The two who wrote themselves into the footnotes of a page that was burned.
They drank, and the silence between them was not empty. It was full of everything they had done, and would never confess. They parted beneath the silent stars, content in their invisibility. The Empire would remember only the light. In a dust-moted chamber, white-haired Eta sat alone, a quill scratching out his final confession to the silence. He wrote, "We were the jester and the spy, and no one ever knew. The Empire was our stage, and we, the hidden strings." He sealed the parchment with a wax dollop, then slid it into the hollow desk where no servant would ever look. Alone, he whispered to the empty room, "Let this be my one footprint in the dust." Time folded. Eta lay in a quiet bed, Reyna's steady hand around his own. The jester cap hung on the post.
No regrets. They'll never know. But we knew.
His chest stilled. Outside, the Empire's bells tolled for no one.
Soon.
She placed her small dagger beside his jester cap on the stone sill, a silent epitaph. The hidden letter waited in the dark desk, a seed of truth buried beneath a century of golden lies. Decades later, a young scholar sifted through storage in a dusty attic archive. His fingers brushed the old desk. The hidden compartment clicked open. A yellowed parchment, brittle as ash, lay inside. He read aloud. "We were the jester and the spy, and no one ever knew. The Empire was our stage, and we, the hidden strings." The words meant nothing to him. No names, no dates. He turned the page, seeking a key. There was only a faded wax seal, unmarked. A secret without a cipher. He glanced out the small window, as if the bustling empire below could explain. The children's songs were only of the boy emperor. His eyes caught a relic on the wall, a faded jester's cap with bells long since silent, hanging on a peg. He tucked the parchment back into its grave, the wood sliding shut with a soft click. The official chronicles still praised only the boy emperor. The golden legend remained unbroken. On the old desk, a small wooden bauble caught the light, a jest forgotten, waiting for another age. The scholar published a small paper, a footnote about an anonymous script. It gathered dust like the desk. No archive responded. The Academy dismissed it as the ramblings of a forgotten fool. Meanwhile, the Empire flourished. Markets hummed, and the peace held like iron. In the capital, a bronze statue of the boy emperor gazed over the city, his wisdom unquestioned. In the palace attic, the desk grew another layer of dust, the hidden letter untouched. The jester cap still hung on its peg, bells mute, guarding a silence no one would break. And so, the greatest rulers were the ones nobody ever saw. Two ghosts, a jester and a spy, had woven an empire from whispers. Their names never graced a page, but their hand still steadied the crown. The bauble glinted one last time, and the archive fell dark.